This is season number 1 of Crappie Talk Live, presented by One Standard. CTL is presented by One Standard. One Standard, fish better. BEATDOWN Outdoors, you can't beat a beatdown. Power Brakes, next level boat control. Power Fishing, where power meets the water. And Cyclops Jigs.
CTL coming at you.
Welcome to episode number 4 of CTL Crappie Talk Live. Matt Pangrac, the co-host here. Zeke Anderson, thank you for making the drive this evening before we hit our polar plunge. We were about to get what the northern part of the country has experienced for the last month, and I never thought I'd say this, Zeke, but particularly because of CTL. I can't wait.
I know, man. I've been enjoying this winter we've been having, but in order for these big girls to start showing up and us putting some true gigantes on the scale, we need this cold weather. So next week's going to be fun. I know we got a trip planned. The weather is going to be cold.
Yeah. Now, if you've been listening to BTL Bass Talk Live, you know that we had a trip scheduled for tomorrow, which would be the 21st. Yes, we're live on the evening of January 20th with Drew Gill, who just won his 3rd Bass Pro Tour event, which is the top level of professional bass fishing on Lake Guntersville, also widely considered to be one of the top 3 live scopers in the world. But his appendix had other plans, so he's gonna take care of that. And the plan is to get on the water with him next week. I've done 2 dry runs of the Catch and Cook episode, which I'm a little nervous to do. I got no problem on the water filming, Zeke, but when it comes to the Catch and Cook and stuff, well, never. You can pull that down so we can actually see. There you go. Now we're not looking over the But I've got an empty bag of the Frenzy fish fry and the Southern Crunch. You know, we've talked about that before on here. And I had a group of guys over this past weekend, and I did 4 different types of crappie. Didn't say anything to them. One of them was the Hooters Buffalo, which
delicious.
I know I'm not the first person to ever do that, but by God,
it's so good.
And then I had a couple other mixes, and then one of them was the Southern Crunch from Frenzy. And then at the end, I had 8 guys over, and 2 of them selected the Buffalo, and the other 6 all said that it was this Frenzy fish fry Southern Crunch. So they're sending us a bunch of fish fry, and I didn't want to use any of the additional flavors to save them for the Catch and Cook. But before we went live, a couple cold ones. Threw a couple crappie fillets that I had vacuum sealed in, little cornbread, little Jif cornbread. So it's a full CTL episode tonight. I mean, we're fresh off of some crappie with some cold ones on it. Doesn't get any better.
We are stuffed, and that what Frenzy calls that seasoning, their fry dust.
Yeah,
that stuff, no salt in it. This stuff is incredible. Sprinkle it on your fish.
I was completely unaware that they kind of brand themselves as like one of the healthier. I mean, you're deep frying it in peanut oil.
Yeah.
Are you a peanut oil guy? I know this is we're jumping the shark here. This is episode 6 or 7, but
yes, I am a peanut oil guy for sure, but I don't deep fry it very often. Only whenever I have groups of people over, do fish fries and whatnot. I love to blacken crappie.
Okay.
Blackening. And the reason I don't deep fry very often isn't because I don't love it, because I do, but I'm trying to keep the pounds off, Matt. I'm 44 years old.
And it's also a pain in the ass unless you have a couple people over by the time you do the oil and the breading and the milk and egg wash and all that.
Great for parties, great for, fish fries with your buddies. Still love it, still do it often, but if you're looking for a break from it, try blackening it. It's good.
Awesome. Looking forward to that episode. So if you've been following CTO, I've been struggling, and I call you late at night, oftentimes trying to figure out the best way to put out all the content that we have here. Because there's really 2 pieces of content that then go together for 1 piece of content. So like episode 3 kind of came out over a 2-week period with your buddy Levi. And we went into the river and we caught him. And then we did a combo edited show with the live show following it. But there's a bunch of people that just want the information from the live show and a bunch of people that just want to watch the 20-minute edited version of it. So then I kind of tried to keep it congruent. So there's a release that is everything all at once, and then a separate one that's just the video, and then a separate one that's just the in-studio version that kind of talks about what the video is. I like that format. I'll continue to kind of tweak it to make it easier for everybody, but I'm kind of going with each episode. It's going to have 3 full pieces of content then.
It's working out well. I mean, they're all getting views and all, getting watched. So we think we've kind of got it dialed in at this point, halfway through the season, but we'll continue to tweak it and play with it. Yeah.
Before we get to tonight's show, which I'm really excited because this is like, we are officially like, kind of worked on this show for 4 or 5 months leading up to it, and then was going to launch it in October. And then we had a really warm October, ended up launching in November, and it stayed warm, and it stayed warm into December. And there's like a time in each part of the country, kind of this, obviously this isn't ice fishing. This is kind of that whole belt that we've talked about from, the Carolinas down Georgia, Arkansas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, Texas, Missouri, that type. And it's like the first, I call it the polar plunge. And it usually happens around Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
And it just so happened that it is happening on January 22nd in this part of the country, 2026. But what is about to happen in the next 2 or 3 days is why CTL exists, why I fell in love with what we do, why you need the power crappie rods and the 1 standard jigs and the Cyclops jigs and the bait casters and the 18-pound test fluorocarbon, because regardless of where you are about to have access to the biggest crappie in your fishery that are the most accessible, that are being caught exactly how we're teaching people how to catch them in this series.
There's no doubt things are about to change. We started seeing it in the last video we did on the water, where these fish's shoulders are they're really getting broad, but their bellies still weren't bulging with shad. And we cleaned some of those fish, and they only had a handful, 1 to 3 shad in their bellies, where they should be. Every other fish you catch should have a shad tail hanging out of its throat that you can look down and physically see. And that's, I think, what we're fixing to see hopefully next week. I mean, the highs are fixing to be in the 30s and the lows in the teens. Mm-hmm. So, and we're going to have a several day stretch of that, maybe a week long stretch of that actually. And the water temps are already down. I got a report today, a call from a buddy that fishes Lake Eufaula, big 100,000 acre lake, and it's already down to 42 degrees. So some of these lakes we're on got to be down 39, 40 degrees already. But this major cold snap, because it was just maybe a week ago, I was on the water in a t-shirt, 70 degrees outside. And so what happens when it goes, it has a 10-degree water temperature drop real quick. These fish are going to get a little bit lethargic. They got to get used to it, which is just fine. That means they're not as boat shy. They're not line shy at all. They're not scared of a big bait. It just means you might have to hold that bait on them for a little bit longer and use that technique on the rod that you guys have seen us do, where we sit there and tap the rod to get their attention. And if you can do that, if you can keep a bait on long enough, typically they're going to strike.
Which is what we've talked about, which is what you've seen in the last episodes, the boat control. You don't need the power brakes, but this is where the power brakes really help to be able to stay back. But like I said, the majority of the guys who are listening to the show, bass guys, very adept at being able to find a 3-pound bass that's a pain in the ass that's 80 feet out and put a 6-inch minnow on that fish's head. So this is like where your kind of skill with the boat can shine. And it's also where if you're new and you're getting into this, but you have that equipment, you have a transducer on a trolling motor shaft, is also a great time to get out and learn, because you're not having to bang around in the timber. You don't have fish that are typically close to the bottom. You don't have fish that are sucked up against the structure. It's kind of like a bullseye in the middle of a field. and you're not going to really scare them. You're not going to spook them. You can actually kind of work on it and learn and take your time and drop on these fish. It's just going to be cold as hell.
That's it. I mean, you're punishing yourself just by being out there for sure. But I told Matt a little while ago when we were eating, I said, yes, it's freezing cold. It's punishment, but catching a 2.5 pound crappie warms you right up. I promise you that. And yeah, you bass guys, you've got good boat control. If you can hit a bass at 60, 80 foot away with a 5-inch minnow, you can drop a 1/4 ounce jig down there and put it on his face. Mm-hmm. The key is you got to hold it in the same spot for maybe up to 20 seconds before you're able to actually get that fish's attention and get it to fire off.
Speaking of 1/4 ounce jigs and smaller jigs, before we kind of dive into this, something that you sprung on me a couple weeks ago when we did our first live show was you had, is it heavy D's in working in combination with Eric and Cyclops Jigs. So these is the first time that Cyclops Jigs, which is they make bass jigs too that are really good, but the jig with the eye underneath it and the 90-degree bend. So it's basically like, instead of your bait like that, it's like that. Boom. The crappie's always looking up. They always feed up. If you ever caught a crappie feeding down, I don't think they do feed down. I think they're capable of feeding down. Are they?
A handful of times I have. Yeah. When they're really aggressive,
they have to like roll over to see it.
They'll chase it down and eat it, but it's very rare. I mean, 9 times out of 10, they're feeding up. And that's why that Cyclops jig head is so cool. He's designed it like a wounded bait fish. That's why that eye is on the bottom. So they look up and they see the eye, and it looks like a wounded bait fish presentation coming to them.
So I know we talked about it, but you surprised me a couple weeks ago with the Cyclops scoping hair jig box that you apparently made 25 of. Only thought we had made 20 of. So there's only 4 of those available. Those are on the Cyclops jigs, but that comes with like that Gamakatsu like foam box and everything. So I've said this from the beginning. I'll say it again. My goal is for you to be able to get into this for less than $500, ideally less than $350.
Yeah, about $350.
And in doing so, the cool thing about this is you need less than $200 worth of baits.
Oh, yeah.
Like total for the whole winter.
Yeah.
Like that's not, you don't have to like restock on it. You can get one standard, and Cyclops there's a whole bunch of cool other things that we're going to get into. And the way I did this was I want to be able to use the unique ones and bring in other outside ones. So I'm like, hey, just like in bass fishing, it's not like, hey, they only bite X type of lure. It's kind of the same, but these are really cool. The Cyclops scoping hair jig box, there's 4 of those left, but this is what I thought we were working on before. That was a test run. There's 4 of those. So we did different colors, and just tonight, literally 20 minutes ago, there's only 20 of these available. And yes, we're selling them to you.
Yeah, they will be gone.
It is called the Boom Box from Cyclops Jigs. Boom, there it is right there. That's why you say it. The Boom Box.
There you go.
That. So 8 jigs. All like these jigs will last you all winter. Like the way you're fishing them, you're not, the only reason you're breaking them off is if you're a dumbass and don't retie on 18-pound test.
Yeah, pretty
or
much.
You're in some deal where you might hook like a gigantic, but the way we're fishing, if you put it in front of it that it's not a crappie, so that's on you.
Yeah. And right now you catch them in open water, so hanging up is not an issue. Mustad hooks is what he uses exclusively, but these colors Matt and I custom picked, and I mean, I gotta say there's some bangers in there.
All right, so top colors, I'm very curious on yours. I know you went through the gray. There's a similar color like that available in the scoping hair jig box that there's only the 4 of below, but a little bit wider. Like this is like all like a gray on gray with a gray eye, and then you went like with a Goldilocks over there. So walk me through your colors, and I'll walk you through my colors, because I've never seen either of these colors actually available in a hair jig.
These are totally custom. I asked them to tie them up, and what you can't see in both the gray and the gold is there's actual tinsel in there, shiny tinsel, and that's what I really wanted, because I want to be able to get these fish's attention quickly and easily. And so the gold, super bright under the water. I am very excited. I'm not sure I've ever actually used that exact color pattern, but I am very excited to try it out. I think it's going to pop. I think it's going to get their attention real quick. There we go. You can see that tints a little bit now. That silver and grayish jig has always been one of my favorites. He tweaked it a little bit for me and added a little bit more shine to it, a little bit more tinsel. And it's more of a, historically, that would be considered a clear water bait, and the gold one would be considered a muddy water bait. Anymore, what we've learned over the years with live scope, I'll catch them in muddy water with the gray and clear water with the gold, or vice versa.
Yeah.
So, but both great colors. Very excited to use them, and just quality. So,
so the colors that I liked, I'm apparently a little fancier than you. Much to my chagrin, there's not really much good that comes out from Orange. Texas, Oak State, all of OU's rivals, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to a crappie jig, there's something spooky about the orange and black. And I don't know why, but I, especially because we're fishing muddy water, find myself going to an orange and black jig a lot. And they're also fairly hard to come across and find.
Yep.
So I said, can we do an orange and black? And this just, I haven't seen these in person yet because these literally just got tied and dropped 20 minutes ago. But I'm very excited for those. What is with the orange? I mean, is there a cult following of orange and black?
Well, it's weird. Around here, we call it Ooliga orange.
Yeah, well, that's in Eufaula, orange and black for bass.
Really?
The orange kicker, orange and black is very orange tips on stuff. Like Eufaula is an orange color, is an orange lake.
Then I definitely need to try this orange jig on
I have
Eufaula.
no idea if it translates to crappie.
I'm sure they will eat it, but for some reason, Ooliga's got that stained water, not real muddy, and that's always been a phenomenal color on that lake for crappie. But it's going to work anywhere. It's just a beautiful jig. And the other one, classic color we call Junebug. It's been in the lineup for years and years and years in the hair jig market. And if you look at these jigs, I know I mentioned it last time, but he ties a short body on them, and then a shorter tail.
They're itty bitty. When you put them in the water, it's very interesting because I'm used to seeing things that undulate, that move, that swim. These do not undulate, move, or swim, but they represent. I don't know what they represent. They just get eaten.
The idea is they represent a fry, a bait fish, is the idea. But like you said, I mean, they don't look like anything, but we know we've proven that they work well.
Yeah.
Especially when the fish are finicky. I'm excited though, next week and moving forward, you'll see us start transitioning from using hair to more plastics, and bigger jig heads, up to the 1/4 ounce stuff. As that water temp drops and these fish really start feeding up, then you can present a much larger bait to them, and the huge benefits to that. I mean, one, mainly it gets down there so much faster, so your accuracy is way better and easier with a bigger, heavier jig head. And if you've got a 1/4 ounce weight above it and a 1/4 ounce jig, then obviously you don't have to worry about that pendulum effect and it getting hung up on your weight up above it. So a lot of benefits to being able to upsize in baits. And I mean, we're right there. I think these next couple of trips, we're going to be able to. I'm
a big fan of the big plastics, especially when it gets even colder. I think most people want to go smaller. I have a tendency to go bigger. You can use a number of different plastics. The one standard is a badass plastic here, and it's a 2.5 inch plastic on that.
That's one of my favorite plastics right there. And you notice the cuts in the tail. And the ribs on the body of the jig. I mean, that's for vibration under the water. If you see a smooth bodied crappie jig, then they don't want it to vibrate, but all the ribs and those cuts in the tail, it gives the tail more action, but it also makes it vibrate the water more when you're tapping on your rod to get the fish's attention. You cannot hold these baits still. The small jig with the 90 degree, it is a 90 degree on that, or anything like the whole
point is when you try to hold it still. I mean, you got 12 foot out, you've got everything, they're all moving. So so one more thing, and then we keep doing it. But this whole started with, I wanted to be able to get less than $100, $200 worth of tackle. So capital BTL 15 at checkout of one standard. It doesn't work on the packages, but on the kits that are 40% off already. But anything else on that, Cyclops Jigs, CYCLOPS jig heads, JIGHEADS, all one word. Only 20 of the boom boom boxes. There's 4 left of the other scope and hair boxes. Those are $50. Those are hand tied by Heavy D, and they don't come untied. Like I said, you'll be good to go for the whole year with that. And then if you do the all-in-one one standard kit, it's 40. Let me see what it's at now. It's like 49. Yeah, here it is right here. The all-in-one kit. You're $100 in. You got everything you need for all winter.
Oh yeah, you're golden.
And then what you can do is you can add little pieces and stuff from some really cool baits that we're going to be using. You know, there's some stuff from Bobby Garland and some bass baits that we're going to be bringing in. And I'm really excited to see when we start using the big stuff.
I still always shop at local bait stores, whatever lake I'm at. I want to check them out. And the last thing I need is more crappie baits. But I always end up buying 2 or 3 packs because I'm like, that looks cool. That's something I haven't seen before. I'm going to try it.
I've been out a couple times without you. I did find something that they will not bite. I tried it with you, and I thought maybe it was just the one-off.
Did you try it again?
I've been consistently trying the 13 millimeter Koike ball, which if you're a bass fisherman, you know that's the I don't even know how to describe it, but it's like the rubber dice thing, except it's made out of like a specific plastic, so it doesn't move, it just takes up. I thought it was odd enough that those floaters would eat it on a small jig head. I was wrong.
You tried it on a day that they were smashing, and I told you
it was the only thing that I've ever dropped on a crappie in that particular lake where they are visibly terrified of it.
Ran away from it.
Like visibly terrified. Like they saw that as a threat, not as a delicious morsel.
No, it's wild.
All right, let's get into the meat of the show. I've been looking forward to this portion of the season because we have all the basics out of the way. We don't have to talk about the beads and the weights and the rods, anything else. If you have questions on this, you can go back to the first or second or third episodes where we kind of walk through the power crappie rods and all the baits and everything that we use. If you have any questions about that, there are other rod companies that make very comparable rods too. There's reasons why we use the power crappie stuff though that make it a little bit easier, mainly less noodly, more boat flippy. That's why we do it. We don't like nets, and it cost us earlier in the season. Yeah.
But really that was just a user error on my part.
Yeah.
But yeah, these power fishing rods, power crappie rods are incredible. I've been using them for close to 10 years. And I've boat flipped plenty of 3-pounders with them with no problem. So you guys check them out. There's some questions coming in here, Matt.
Yeah, we'll get to the questions. I'm gonna star them and favorite them.
Okay.
But we're officially in floater season. We kind of opened the show with that. And why do you think when that water hits that magic 49-degree mark that they get off of the timber, they kind of get off of the bottom, they stop kind of relating more to the schools of bait fish and doing the fall things, and they just hover like magical orbs in the abyss? I've never really understood why.
Primarily it's the larger fish that do it. Not that you won't catch some small fish doing it, but it's 1.5 pound plus fish. One, they're not as scared and nervous as the smaller fish about a bass coming by and devouring them, but also they're out actively feeding, actively chasing bait. And crappie are opportunistic feeders. They don't always go chase the schools of bait, but they will hang out in places, drop-offs, ledges, humps, any abnormality that they'll kind of hang out at, points, and they will wait for those bait fish to come by. And as soon as they do, it's game over for them. So they know they have to start putting on weight. It's getting cold. They're burning more calories. You ever thought about that? A fish burning calories?
Yes.
Okay.
Big time in bass fishing.
Thought I had something there.
Explain it though. I go into depth on it. I like the explanation of this because there's an aha moment in it.
Yeah. So the more calories, the colder the water gets, the more calories they're going to burn, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they have to replenish those calories. And then they also know that the spawn is right around the corner. Starting in March or so, typically in the southern states, is when the fish will start thinking about, their eggs are getting bigger and bigger, and they'll start thinking about moving to the shallows to drop their eggs. And that they expend a ton of energy during the spawn. The males expend energy building the beds, and the females expend energy, obviously, laying millions of eggs. And so instinctually, they know they've got to put on weight. They've got to fatten up. And by fattening up, it's my favorite part is when their shoulders just get really, really wide.
Mm-hmm.
And then when their bellies are larger than their shoulders, that's when you know. This time of year, people think it's eggs. It's not. It's shad.
Yeah.
In their bellies. They're devouring shad. You'll clean a fish. It's got 7 or 8 shad in its belly. And you're like, how did that even fit? How is that possible? So that's why they're moving off, floating, just actively feeding, knowing that they need to, fatten up, put on weight for the winter and the spring.
And the interesting thing that I found is you see them, and next week's video that you'll see, they're just, but you think they're moving, but they're one of the few fish that I've ever seen that they're not moving.
There's only
they're literally just sitting 3 to 12 feet under the surface.
Most freshwater fish can't breathe sitting still, and somebody can fact check me on that. But this is what all the old men crappie fishermen that I've learned a lot from have told me, that most freshwater fish can't breathe sitting still. Crappie is one of the few that can. That's why you'll see a school of them sitting in a tree, not budging. You'll see them floating out there, not budging, and which makes them easy to target, obviously, and easy to keep a bait on. There are times when you've got to chase them down and pitch in front of them over and over and over until you get that perfect pitch and they open their mouth. But for the most part, they'll be sitting still, easy to catch, easy to target, and easy to identify because of that.
Yeah,
the fact they're not moving. Yeah. If it's a trash fish, a carp, gar, whatever, they might sit still for a few seconds, but eventually they're going to start swimming and get broadside to you. You're going to know immediately, okay, that's not my target species.
You like to start on the north end and work your way down towards the dam. I think that the floating is heavily predicated to watercolor, and the dirtier the water, the more likely, the more color in the water, the more likely you are to find floating crappie. Frankie here is asking about clear water crappie and casting to them. That show's in the works. We have that show planned and ready. Correct?
We do. And it's going to be a great episode. And Frank, I'll be honest with you, it's not my forte because that's not what I do all the time.
Yeah, not mine either.
But we'll definitely figure out and catch some fish. I do have to interject here about this subject because there's been, 6 or 8 guys that I know that are full-time crappie guys. You know where they've been at, Matt, this week?
Where?
Clear Lake, California.
Yeah.
And I follow them on social media and they text me whatever pictures of these schools of black crappie.
Yeah. You're cast to them.
Yeah, you got to cast to them.
Yeah, I had a guy text me, he caught 7 over 3.
Oh, yeah.
In one morning.
Yeah. But the size of these schools, you wouldn't believe it.
Yeah.
It's absolutely insane.
If life, if we both were busy, we'd be out there now. That is still on the
hopefully next season,
hit list.
Hopefully next season we can get a trip out there. It's like a 26-hour drive. And
yeah. Well, that's only like 14 hours a piece, Zeke.
That's worth it. It'll be worth it. But it's guaranteed 3-pounders out there.
Yeah.
It's wild. And they're black crappie too. These aren't hybrids.
Yeah.
They're true black crappie and the biggest that you'll ever see in your life.
Yeah. The way to do that would be Yeah, I would like to get my boat out to Clear Lake.
Yeah.
That'd be a win-win. But anyway, that's more in the clear water. What we're talking about, and we have to talk about this, is the water color when it's cold. Every person that I've taken, and there's 30 lakes within 2 hours of me, that all the one thing that they have in common is they have consistently stained water. And when you say stained colored water, that varies based on what you're, I've had guys that dump it on Table Rock, and if you're from Lake Mead, you're like, oh, well, it's dirty water, and you're like, oh, this is like drinking water, folks. When I say that, I say if you put your, like, let's say you have your setup, you have your jig, then you have 18 inches, and you have your weight. So you know that it's 18 inches above. That's 18 inches. If you can put your bait and your weight in the water and still see both, there's a very good chance that you will have a difficult time finding floaters that you can get that close to.
To me, that's clear water.
Yes, that is exceptionally clear water,
yeah.
And that's 18 inches of visibility.
Yeah, and at that point, what you're looking for, and don't ask me why this is the case, because I truly don't know, but the clear water fish, there are a lot more black crappie in clear water than there are white crappie in most circumstances, and that's true in Oklahoma as well. And black crappie like to school up more than white crappie do for whatever reason.
Yeah, but
and so if you're
giving away the juice right here.
Yeah.
Is this okay?
Well, that's the idea, right?
Okay. So Michael Cole says, what about regular water clarity? Not super clear, not super stained, like Kanawha-ish? That's too clear.
Oh, I haven't been on it.
It's like 2 feet, 2.5 feet.
Oh gosh.
When we're saying stained muddy water, I like not being able to see, not like a post-rain mud. I'm talking about a consistent muddy water where you're like, the north end of Eufaula, that type of muddy water. Like if you're a bass guy, it's a type of muddy water you want to throw a Colorado blade orange kicker spinner bait in. Like you want to be able to feel like it's a little bit muddy while you're reeling your bait in. 6 inches or less, 8 inches or less, as long as it is a stain and not fresh rolling mud, as long as it is that consistent color. There is not a watercolor that can be too dirty for this to work in, and I get more excited when I get to a lake, the nastier it looks.
There's a small lake down south of us, and you've fished it, I believe, that it's got the most chocolate milk water that I've ever seen, and the only 4+ pound crappie that I've personally seen in Oklahoma was caught on that lake. And tons and tons of 3-pounders come out of it every year. Kind of got hurt a few years ago, but it's on the rebound.
And that's what we say, like, the first other episodes of water clarity wasn't as important because you're talking about fish that are relating to structure, visual feeders, that type of thing. Now that you're getting down to it, it goes against everything you've ever read, seen, done to say, we're going to get away from the cover. We're going to use bigger baits, and we're going to target the dirtiest water we can find. But that's what I say, like on your lake, like you could have a 60,000 acre lake, and this doesn't work in 50,000 acres of it, but it's the cat's pajamas in 10,000 acres of it if it's the dirty arm of the lake.
And I will say this too, in that cleaner water, that 18-inch visibility stuff, you just put the long rod away, and you can still find floaters in that water.
You just have to cast.
You just have to cast to them.
That's what we're going to be doing within the month when we go to Missouri and jump in the boat with Jeremy Lawyer and cast to schools of fish on some of those Ozark lakes.
Does he cast to?
Yes.
Well, I mean,
he has a 7-foot rod.
On the lake that we're fishing with him on, I long rod that lake.
He casts.
I can't wait. I can't wait to learn from him.
Yeah. He's in the cleanest stuff.
Okay. A different part of the lake.
He's a different part of the lake than you are casting.
Yeah.
He's never done the long rod stuff. You've never done the short rod stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I've done it when I've had to at tournaments, but just never put in a lot of practice on it. So
that's why we call you Big Stick Zeke. Anyway, that's a key point that I cannot hammer home enough. And not all muddy lakes, when it's cold, will have big crappie in it. But you're putting the odds in your favor.
Absolutely.
And you're also reducing the number of other people who will be plying their trade on those bodies of water.
And that's why I start as far away from the dam as I can typically, is because that's where the muddiest water always is.
Yeah.
You know, as it's run through the dam, you're getting the clean water. It's sucking the silt out of the lake.
I like to fish lakes that are really dirty and then start on the biggest arm a quarter of the way back adjacent to the dam. When we went to that other lake, that's where they were.
Yeah.
And you were mind blown.
I was mind blown. I truly was. I mean, we tried my method and failed miserably. Didn't see a crappie. Saw a bunch of big bass, but didn't see a crappie. And as soon as I was like, Matt, I'm out of ideas. I don't know. He's like, well, let's go check over here. And I was ready to leave. I was like, this lake doesn't have a crappie in it. And we go where Matt said, right by the dam, right in a little cut.
Biggest first major creek adjacent to the dam, quarter of the way back.
That's exactly where they were.
First point, flat structure. They're not going to be right on it. Drop your trolling motor 100 yards from wherever you think they might be, and then work your way up on it, and then work your way up off of it. Yep. And that's where I'd start. That's on a lake that has a foot of water clarity or less throughout the entire fishery. If not, start down and work your way up until you get, just like most people work their way up, then work their way down till they get to good watercolor. You're going to start down, and you're going to work your way up until you get to dirtier water.
And if you're clear water, if you're up north or just live in a state, your lake's got clear water. My recommendation starting out would be focus on around docks. These crappie are notorious, obviously, for hanging out around docks. Whether they're brushed in or not, it doesn't matter. There's the shade there, and they feel safe there. They feel comfortable, like it's a home. Someplace
they can go, and then they can just go roam when it's sunny.
Exactly.
Speaking of conditions, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the conditions. Like, I can't tell you like how much everyone I've taken, what we just talked about, blows their mind. Probably the same with you, where you put in, and like the first time I took Frank out, he's like, we're fishing this lake. Like, he didn't want to launch the boat. And I was like, yeah, dude, like it freaking kicks ass. And he's like, what's wrong with it? And I'm like, what do you mean? What's wrong with it? He's like, you catch fish out of this? And I'm like, just get in the damn boat, Frank.
We're off air, right?
No.
Oh, sorry. I thought we were off air.
You about through one. We haven't started the commercials yet.
I just about asked you if I was right about the lake. That is,
yes, you are.
But
right,
yeah, I mean, you're 100% right. It's when I first started doing this, I really didn't understand all of these intricacies of crappie fishing. I was a find a brush pile, catch fish guy. And then as I got more into it and wanted to target larger fish and I wanted to fish a lot of standing timber. I used to love dipping trees before live scope, before forward facing sonar. That was my favorite thing to do, is dip trees. And it was a numbers game. The more trees you could dip in a day, the more fish you were going to catch. Once I caught 3 fish that were 10 foot down on a tree that's 20 foot deep, that's where I fished all day long. And what we've learned is that's just not the case.
Yeah.
They could be anywhere from 2 foot down to 20 foot down. You just don't know.
The interesting thing is, like, this isn't just a small lake thing. Like on the big lakes, like a Grand, you can be down lake and they be around the docks and you have to cast to them. Then you get up around Sailboat Bridge that has more color to it. You go in a pocket and you see them floating. I can't tell you how many times I've been bass fishing and I've gone in and been like, oh, it's dirty in here.
Yeah.
And then I'm just like, get curious and just like go out in the middle and start panning. It's just like blah, 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 blah. You don't see that down lake.
Yeah.
So you can do it on a lot of different lakes.
Do you mistake crappie for bass very often?
Yeah, like, so we've got an open coming up on Rayburn, and there's a lot of like 2.5 pound bass in Rayburn, but there's also crappie that will get mixed in there. Now typically they're going to be a little more stationary down around the brush piles and not, but you'll catch 4 or 5 that, like, when you reel into them, you're like, oh yeah, that's a nice bass, and then it'll be a slab crappie. It's the Arkansas lakes are really notorious for that because you're fishing a lot of deeper trees, you know, in the spring with a minnow with a small spoon and stuff like that. So yeah, you jack a lot of big crappies on like Ouachita and stuff like that.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
All right, now we actually are going to take a break.
Okay.
I'll tell you what lake that was. CTL episode number 4. Be back right after this.
One Standard products are designed and built to help you catch more fish.
Man, now that is a good one right there. Look at that. We got a pair of them on there. This fish here absolutely choked it. Welcome to the fish fry, old buddy.
Unrivaled designs, the best components and precision manufacturing create products of the highest standard.
One thing a crappie fisherman needs to do is keep mixing it up, and through the baits that you're going to have in this package, you're going to be able to do that at one time.
Visit onestandardfishing.com to fish better.
Everyone in this world has a thing, something we put ourselves into, something that allows us to break away from to-do lists, schedules. It doesn't have to make sense, be understood or explained, because this is our thing. At BEATDOWN Outdoors, we know you depend on your gear to hold up in any condition, rain, snow, sun, or sleet. We build for that. We test for that. In fact, we pride ourselves in that. Because we know when the time comes to test your gear, you aren't going to take it easy, so we won't. We build premium, made-in-the-USA products that you can rely on in the moments when your equipment should be the last thing on your mind. I guess you could say, that's our thing.
No other fishing brake system has helped produce more tournament champions, whether it be in the bass world, the walleye world, or the crappie world. Built tough as nails and engineered to last the lifetime of your boat. There's a reason why more pros and guides choose Power Brakes. If you want to take your boat control skills to the next level and increase your fish catches, join the movement. Visit mypowerbrakes.com. Official fishing brakes for Crappie Talk Live.
Whether you're chasing crappie, bass, or walleye, Cyclops Jigs has your back. Built tough, dialed in, and ready to hook the big ones. From the weekend warriors to the hardcore anglers, lean on them and let Cyclops Jig take your fishing game to the next level.
All right, we're back. CTL episode 4. Cyclops is taking their marketing to the next level. Commercials now, dropping one-off CTL boxes.
They're doing good. I mean, they're the hot item right now out there in the crappie world for sure, and getting a stronghold in the bass world too.
Yeah. We mentioned the baits. I wanted to go back that for a second. The open water floaters like this, not the time to be using paper clips. Like you want a little bit of meat, a little bit of meat behind that hook.
Yeah, I like a medium wire hook. I've tried really heavy stuff, and it's just hard to embed that stuff in the roof of the fish's mouth. But a good medium wire hook. In the summertime, I'll use light wire stuff. And this is a debate amongst crappie guys that has been going on for a long time. I'm just telling you from my experience, what I've seen, and some of the success I've had tournament fishing. That medium wire you can use year round.
It's so there's also a camp of guys who love a sickle. They claim it traps, with the paper, less ripping, goes through, and you'll see those guys. Like I use a sickle a lot, and you'll notice in the videos that we've done, my hook set is a lot more of a sweeping hook set than Zeke's, which is like day 3 Bassmaster Classic. 5-pounder just ate my jig 3 feet from the boat.
True. And
I think that's just a result of me using a lot more of the one standard with the sickle. If I was to hammer home a one standard sickle on 18-pound tests like that, a lot of jig straightening going on that rounder mid, you can hit them a little bit harder on it.
Honestly, your hook set is a better hook set than mine. I shouldn't just jack them like I do. When I feel that thump and see him on the screen dart at the bait, instincts take over and I can't control myself.
Brett Taylor says, assuming this time of the year they relate to the dirtier water like that because it's warmer and heats up faster.
I saw that question. That's an interesting question, and hadn't really thought about it, but it makes sense because it's siltier water. That silt's going to absorb the sunlight more and heat that water up. That's also why you'll see them come up and be 6 inches below the surface of the water. They're just soaking up the sun. But that would be my best guess, is that's the most comfortable water for them. And maybe they feel like they're more camouflaged. They can't be seen. That's why in clear water, fish stay in schools primarily, because they feel more protected, just like in the ocean, with bait fish in the ocean and things like that. They feel safer in numbers. And I saw a question about cover versus structure on there. Did you see that?
No, have at it.
What's more important in the wintertime, cover versus structure? And I would say cover. They still relate to structure some, and some fish will always be on structure. But you find that cover, and again, it's a safety thing, I think. They feel safer. It's like a dog that is crate trained. They'll go in that crate with the door open because that's their safe place. So kind of think about it the same way as that. When
it comes to these dirtier water, it's kind of a double-edged sword, because a lot of times the water, you mentioned it there, is dirty because it is silted in. That's also a lot of the time why the dam is a great place in the winter, because a lot of the other stuff just silted in. There are things I call unicorn days over the last 5 years, and you can usually tell a unicorn day 3 or 4 days out. It's a day that says it's going to be 3 to 5 mile an hour winds. It's going to be about 35 in the morning. It's going to be partly cloudy the whole day, not like bright bluebird, but like just partly cloudy. And the 3 or 4 days preceding it are either going to have winds that are going opposite directions every day, but nothing more than 15 miles an hour. If you can have that and then hit that calm day, gangbusters usually. But if you have a unicorn day weather-wise, but 3 days before it was gassing 30 out of the south for 15 hours, you can tell within 3 minutes of putting your trolling motor down whether you need to just load it up and go home, or whether you're going to catch them that day because of the particles and silt in the water. And this could happen in a productive arm. It could be the entire lake. It could be a section of the lake. But if you go to a lake when you drop your trolling motor, even if it's dirty, it's not going to look dirty on your live scope. We've talked about clean versus shad. We've talked about what you're looking at. And you drop it down and it looks like a starburst has gone off. And the first thing you wonder is if you broke your transducer on the way there. That is the silt from the north end of the lake that has all been pushed down to the south end of the lake. And all your crappie are going to be on the bottom, and you're not going to catch anything.
Even the crappie that you find off the bottom, very, very difficult time getting them to bite. They're breathing that silt, through their gills, and it can't be comfortable. Can't give you an appetite, surely. So if, like Matt said, if you put your transducer in the water and you feel like, oh, I need to adjust my gain, and you adjust your gain and turn it down, and it's still starburst and just clutter on the screen everywhere.
Particles, dirty screen.
There's one time a year where there's an exception to this rule, like everything.
Okay.
When the pollen falls.
Yeah.
I get blown up every year when the pollen hits the water. I know you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
All you guys do.
It makes you think your transducer's broken.
You think everything's broken, and you're terrible at fishing, and you just got to wait out the pollen. It's really tough to track your bait, see your jig, determine fish species, all that stuff. So
I know Scott's out in California, I believe. Shoots me messages all the time trying to learn, and he sees you catch it. Do you have are there fisheries all across the country that don't freeze? Like, can you find little gems that do this in every state, or is this, in all honesty, since you've only been doing this 5 years, there's still a lot to be explored throughout the country where it doesn't work? I hope to be able to travel more, especially up north, over the next year or two. And, Matt has a lot of contacts, the guys up north, bass fishermen up there, that I know would let us jump on their boat and fish with them. But I've got some more learning to do. I'm never done learning. But I would still
think that in most places, most states, it's probably not true. I mean, in a lot of states, there's just no dirty water, and you've got to use these clear water techniques, stay back off of them, cast to them with short rod.
Which we are going to do a show, and I'm fully aware that while you can learn a lot about crappie and a lot of the baits that are applicable and the behaviors are still applicable to what we're talking about, this is a fairly regionalized deal this time of the year. Like I said, you're talking about a 15-state kind of swath for 3 months. Sometimes half of those states are iced out. Sometimes half of those states are blown out. But it's so freaking cool when it actually is right.
Honestly, it makes trips down here. I mean, a lot of my guide buddies get a lot of guys from up north coming down, and they'll stay, 2, 3, 4 days. People have asked us about Grenada Lake, who we know over there. That's the premier giant crappie lake in the country.
And what's the water clarity at Grenada?
It's an inch. And this time of year, I'd be catching them in 4 foot of water.
Have you ever seen a lake that has crappie in it be too muddy for them to bite?
No,
I'm not talking about blown out mud. I'm talking about have you ever just gone and it just been too muddy?
Never seen it.
Have you ever thought you would catch them better if it wasn't as dirty? Never.
If that's the lake's regular water color, you should see some of the red mud, around here. The red mud that you would think, how do fish even live in that lake? It's no different. And what I do for a living, full time, I sell electronics and things. I've been doing this for a long time now. And that's probably the number one question I get. Does muddy water affect forward facing sonar? Absolutely not. You have to tweak your settings a little bit to get a cleaner screen, but it does not affect it at all.
Great question from Jacob. Tannic water. We're getting into some tidal stuff, some Florida stuff particularly. I mean, you have a little experience with that.
A little bit.
Yeah. Do they float in the tannic stuff?
Not really. They love lily pads though.
Okay.
They love the lily pads. A tournament was won in Florida a few years ago out of 2 guys in a John boat, 2 locals in a John boat, 2 old men. And what they did not have forward facing sonar. Everybody else did, but they knew the fishery. This was I'll think of the lake, but they would take the butt of their rod and open up the lily pads and dip them. So in practice, that's all they did. They went around the areas they knew typically held fish and opened up pockets in the lily pads. A 14-foot John boat won a national level crappie tournament doing this. So they're not going to float as much. They will school up though. You will be able to find them in open water schooled up in the deeper water. But they love sitting under those lily pads.
It was very tannic. Had a bad week there, so I believe I was at the Chesapeake Bay. And I was in a backwater slough that had a pond in the back of it. I went back there to scope. It was really tannic.
Yeah.
And I axe murdered 14 to 15 inch crappie on a 3-inch minnow that were suspended in the middle of this pond off of the Chesapeake Bay. There's like a canal thing.
Black crappie?
Yes.
Yeah.
They were black crappie. But when he asked that question on tannic water, I was like, wait, yep. And I probably wasted an hour and a half. And I probably caught 30 that were floating. This was 3 years ago.
Just having fun. And they were all 13 to 15 inch black crappie. So yes, I will say I have seen them float in tannic water. Yeah. But typically
the one time I've been fishing in tannic water. But yes, it was a wad of them. It wasn't like all spread out. It was a wad of them that were suspended over a Christmas tree. But they weren't like in it. They were, 20 feet from it. Just like you see them sit motionless at a Bass Pro tank.
Yeah. Like we talked about before, they'll move on and off that tree. They're going to stay close to it. Safety net. That's home.
I have not seen where bottom composition on floaters matter because, quite frankly, I don't even know what the bottom looks like because I have my graph set in the top 20 feet of the water column.
I've never seen it matter. I mean, I fished, a reservoir that's a solid rock bottom here in Oklahoma, and mostly what I fish is soft bottom, but it's been the same. The fish set up the same either way. I will say this, they're easier to see when they're on the bottom on a hard bottom lake. And that's definitely the case. And that, these mud bottoms that we have primarily around here, they get in the little crevices, just little divots. And sometimes you can just see their pump back, but
I've never had a day on the water where I got off and said, boy, I really enjoyed catching those crappie off the bottom.
No, me neither. It's kind of miserable. It's a lot more work, but some days that's how it is.
Yep. What else when it comes to this first Arctic blast and the true floaters? This has been an information pack 56 minutes that, like, honestly, we told some stuff that you would never figure out unless you had someone told you. I'm not saying I figured it out because someone told me. Oh. You actually kind of figured some of it out, though, right? Like, you didn't really have anybody that, like, that's one of the reasons why they're co-hosts of the show. When it comes to guys that were doing this, you were probably first 10 in the country. Like, be honest here. I'm asking. I'm not. This is not bragging. Like, I would like to hear like how you kind of figure this stuff out. If there was someone who taught you or how that kind of went down.
I was very, very early adopter of LiveScope and was fortunate enough to get it very early on. And had a friend at the time, and we fished together all the time. We both got it and helped each other out as much as we could. It got to the point where we no longer fished together on a boat. We'd each bring our own separate boats.
This was more fun that way.
It was more fun that way. Now I'm different. I'm not as selfish.
Yeah.
But back then I was really wanting to learn and get better. And back then my boat control got where it is today because of what I started fishing out of back then. It was a 16.5-foot bass tracker. Small aluminum
sucker
boat.
blows all over the place.
Blows all over the place. No brakes back then. Had a little motor guide, trolling motor, and I was forced to have good boat control and to learn that and pick it up quick in order to do this. But I'll never forget the day that I learned about roaming crappie. I was up on Oologah Lake in the north end of Oologah in the timber, and I'm looking at trees. There's no fish. It's a winter time. I was using live bait. I started seeing blobs just floating out in and amongst the timber. And finally I stopped on one and I go, I wonder what that is. Maybe it's a sand bass or something. And I dropped a minnow down on its head and boom. And it was a 13.5, 14-inch crappie. And then I started looking around and said, oh my gosh, they're everywhere. I caught a 37 fish limit in an hour and a half, never having, fished for roamers before. So a lot of these things I've learned through experience. A lot of things I've talked to people about and helped develop techniques, but it's, I don't know how long it's been out now, 6-7 years.
Yeah.
LiveScope. And it's been a fun tool. It really rejuvenated my energy into the sport of crappie fishing. And like Matt always says, we're not apologizing for using it.
Yeah.
A lot of people call it a cheater box. I will cheat every day of the week.
Well, it's not cheating.
I know.
It's completely legal. And if you don't like it, don't do it.
Yeah.
Great question about the minnows and the live bait. Here's what I'll say about it. If you're not like super comfortable and confident in this yet, and you've got the jigs and you've caught some fish on it, but you want to check out a new body of water and see if there's fish, go get a pound of minnows. I would recommend getting a mixture of sizes because they tend to, I don't know what size.
I get the smallest minnows they have.
Okay.
If they have those, what are they called? Fat heads?
Yep.
Yeah, get those.
Okay. Well, like I said, I'm a weirdo when it comes to that. I wouldn't hesitate to put a 6-inch gizzard shad on and drop it on a crappie bed.
Well, they'll eat it. I mean, they will eat it.
Zeke does like the small minnows.
Yeah, they call them crappie minnows at the bait stores. Just get you, half pound of those and you'll be fine.
But here's the thing, and this is why. I have seen it on some lakes, and it's very situational on lakes where you will drop in front of something that 100% after having seen 1,000 of these things over the last 2 months is a 2-pound crappie, and it will not react, it will not move, and it just stays a ball, and it will slowly just kind of fade away. I have yet to drop a live minnow in that exact same place or a jig tipped with the live minnow, and it may not bite, but it will react to the live minnow. If you're going to a new place, you can get a pound. One of the cool tricks that you do when it's super, super cold outside, they come in like a plastic bag and they literally just live in the plastic bag for like 12 hours. They don't die.
Oh, I get them the night before.
They don't die.
Yeah.
If there's any sort of temperature or warmth outside, get one of those Febril deals with the aerator in it.
Yeah, the Engel coolers are real popular. I'll put them in that bag. I'll put them in the refrigerator overnight.
Yeah.
Fine.
Rob saying, are you seeing the floaters under shad schools deeper? No, I'm not looking under shad schools because if I see shad, that's a dirty screen. It's a pain in the ass and it's harder to get them to bite. So I am actually looking for the part of the lake that does not have the shad reefs in it.
Yeah, we try to get away from the shad just because it clutters the screen so bad. But the answer to that question is yes, you'll absolutely see them under
you
shad.
Will.
In our last video,
yeah,
I mean, I caught one.
They're
right
real hard to catch,
shad.
and they're not that, like, literally there's sections of lakes that you go to, and when you get there, you're like, God, I hope the bait's not here.
Yeah.
And there will be some bait there, and sometimes you'll drop down and it's just dirty and there's shad everywhere. Sometimes you'll drop down and it's black screen. That, this time of the year, from what I've seen, has zero impact on the amount of fish in the area.
Zero.
Those fish are not following the shad. They're there waiting on the shad to come to them.
Like I said earlier, they're opportunistic feeders.
Mm-hmm.
And
I would much rather drop and see nothing on the screen than a bunch of bait.
Which goes against everything we've always been
You're
told
the same way
about fishing. Oh, the exact same way. Exactly.
You get a calm day, dirty water, 40 degrees water, black screen, on a fishery that you know has big crappie. Primo.
Put the trolling motor on 10 and go.
Yep.
That's why, power brakes are so important to us. They allow us to fish a lot faster and cover a lot more water. If you're just looking for bigs and you're bypassing, 10 and 12-inch fish, once you learn how to size them up and you're just looking for bigs, you can, troll at 3 miles an hour and be ranged out 50 or 60 feet on your screen. As soon as you see that fish hit your brakes, boom, you're going to be dead stopped within 10 or 12 feet. And then you can creep up on that fish.
If you're a bass guy, this is the equivalent. This is what I would recommend. If you have one of the trolling motors that you have linked to your console, idle, put that thing down, get your thumb, your remote, and sweep back and forth and have the thing set at 60 to 70 feet. And you can sweep a whole cove and see if there's anything floating in there.
Yep.
If you go through an area and you go a half hour and don't see one, it doesn't mean that there's not any in the lake. It just means that they're not in that portion of the lake. But like, if you're in a lake that has them and it matches all the criteria, if you're in a lake that matches all the criteria, but you don't know if it has them, that's the right question. And you go a half hour without seeing anything, you need to pick up and move and give it a half hour somewhere else and a half hour somewhere else and a half hour somewhere else. And if you still ain't seen nothing, if all of these things that we talked about tonight match, load the boat.
Yeah, load the boat. Load the boat.
Is that
or
am I exaggerating?
No, or hit one more spot and there they are. But no, if I go to a new lake and I know I'm going to fish the main lake, right?
Yeah.
Then what I do is look at my map, go to the first bend in the river channel. You see a hard bend in the river channel where wood gets hung up, things get hung up in it. If you look there, they're not there, run to the next one. Get on the big motor, run to the next one, run to the next one, run to the next one. That's going to give you the best opportunity to find them, or where secondary, tributaries meet the main channel. Right there, they love to stack up because
and by stack up, you mean you might see two on the screen at once.
Yes. Yeah.
Stack up, you understand it best. Like stack up for this means there they are.
Yeah.
Stack up means you see one every 3 or 4 minutes.
You found an area and you're going to see fish and catch fish. But they love those where those secondary channels come in because they've got two opportunities these channels are highways for bait. And so they'll find ambush points and sit right on the edges of the channel. Or if there's stumps on your river channel, they love sitting behind stumps to ambush shad. Even in the wintertime. I just thought of another lake we have to go to, by the way. just came to me as I was saying that. But focus on those bends. Focus on those, those changes. Any drop-offs, major big drop-offs. I'll tell you what they don't really like, which I've never caught them. This is weird. Cliffs, like straight bluffs.
Yeah, no, same here.
I just never seem to find many crappie.
I 100%
along bluffs.
agree.
And I still go look because I think like they should be here. I don't know why they're not here.
I think it's because the bluffs have so much shade.
So it's not warming up the water enough.
Yeah.
But those bluffs are also soaking up sun and dispersing into the water. I don't know.
Valid point.
So anyway, you probably ignore bluffs unless you're a clear water fisherman. I'm sure black crappie getting big schools off those bluffs. So
last thing before we wrap up tonight. Rob asked, most success, early, midday, late afternoon floaters. I think without a doubt, when it gets brutally cold and for your safety and everyone's safety around you and the traveling safety, you have a 5-hour window this time of the year, and it is
about 11 to 4.
Bingo. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah, about 11 to 4. And we've been seeing it every time we've been out filming. We don't bother getting there early because we know what's going to happen.
You freeze your ass off for 2 hours and you catch a couple right when you get there because you never get there actually early enough because it's 10 degrees outside when it's actually getting light. So you get there after the morning bite and before the mid-afternoon bite, and you just freeze for 3 hours and catch 2. And then you're like, oh, we did it again.
It's funny. My dad went to the lake that we fished for the second episode, and he did not have a good day. He only caught like a dozen fish, and we just hammered him. It's not because he doesn't know what he's doing. It's because he left too early. He had to be off the water at like 12:30 or something that day, and he said he caught all his fish after 11 o'clock.
Wow.
Yeah. So midday to answer the question.
All right. I think we're about halfway through CTO at this point. This is the fourth in the studio show.
Hopefully it's getting better. I think it is. Without a video to talk about.
Yeah.
So really wanted to get into this Arctic blast we got coming and talk about how that's going to affect the fish. And we'll see next week. Hopefully we give enough time to normalize with the water temp.
And I'll say this too. When you're headed out, tie a rope off to the back cleat of your boat. Have a change of dry clothes in your boat with a towel. Go with a buddy. Don't go by yourself, if at all possible. Let people know where you're going to be, and have a flotation device if you're not wearing it. I know it's cumbersome if you're wearing a big. Have one in the boat adjacent, like on the seat, to where if you trip, if you go in 40-degree water, you can at least cling to the side, get that rope that you have over around you, get a flotation device, get you around to the back, get on, and have a change of clothes. That's all I'll say on that. That's my rant that I would never have said before I turned 40, but now it seems applicable.
Absolutely. Safety first, especially in the wintertime.
Yep. All right. This has been another edition of CTL Crappie Talk Live. We'll talk to everyone later. Thanks, Zeke.
Thanks, Matt.
Stay ya.